How you doing, Robert? All right, guys. Another signing date. This one a little bit different dynamics with the early signing period. As you guys know, we had 8 players sign early that are already enrolled. All of a sudden, down to 4 weeks and 4.5 weeks before spring break, we got 8 of them already here going. Then I think we signed another 4 early, and today we signed 10 more. So that's 22 total, which, always particularly in this changing trend of college football, just with the amount of movement on rosters with grad transfers, and I mean, it's remarkable now how much movement. You like to keep some open. I'm really glad that we kept 3 open. That doesn't mean we signed all the ones we tried to sign. We may have gone to 23 or 24, but in the end, I'm glad we're at 22 and we've got some flexibility there with 3 spots. Overall, just the early signing date, I was skeptical about it, but now after having gone through it, I must put in there, as disappointed as we were with the season and not going to a bowl game, not being in a bowl game with the early signing date probably helped. Not that we want to do that again. So, a year from now, hopefully I'll have a different context on the early signing date, having been in a bowl game. But for us, it was good. It actually cleans things up a little bit. It makes some of the Power 5 schools make decisions and put it in writing. It makes some of those young men, put it in writing. So, again, rather than stand here and go through the whole class one by one, I guess the best analogy is, and Frank kind of said it, it does feel a little bit like Christmas, but other than those 8 guys that are here, and even the 8 guys that are here, you really have to wait a long time to open up and see exactly what you have in that box, because it's a long way from signing to playing in games and to being successful. So, pretty good class. I think just to kind of show the plan, we're starting spring ball. Actually, our clock started today with meetings. Our first spring practice will be Friday. Getting over last season is very important, getting that taste out of our mouth. Certainly this signing date helps, and starting spring practice officially on Friday helps. I think it's really good for us to start spring practice early. We'll have it done by spring break, and then we have about 5 or 6 weeks here with our players, full-on lifting. And also the NCAA's changed a little bit what you can do in those 2 hours a week, football-wise, of their mandatory 8 hours. So, part of the plan is the 8 guys here already. The next plan is the 14 guys that will be coming in. But big to me is starting spring practice on Friday and getting after it. With that said, our coaches have done an unbelievable job. There's no question. I didn't hire a coach through the month of December here for financial reasons. That helped the department, but I kept those jobs open. Offensive coordinator, linebacker coach, and also the 10th coach, which the 10th coach you actually couldn't hire until January anyhow. And that meant these other coaches had to hump it pretty good because we were down 2 coaches all through that early signing date. And then the next thing with the coaches is starting spring practice. So every weekend that we've been back in here, we've had one eye on football, particularly with a new offensive coordinator and a couple new coaches. So the bigger picture of it all is, again, just pieces to the puzzle, and that's what this class of 22 guys is. So, Rick, you want to start it off?
Just so I understand, could you just kind of enumerate the reasons for starting spring ball so early?
I think there's a lot. First of all, I've talked to a lot of people around the country that have done it. Rocky Long's done it very early at San Diego State. Everybody loves the idea that on the back end of spring practice, you get a full lifting cycle of 7 weeks or 8 weeks. Then it's 3 weeks off when they go home in May, and then another 8 weeks when they come back in the summer, rather than breaking that thing up. For me, even bigger than that was kind of getting the taste of last season out of our mouth, but getting these coaches full on with the players the moment we could after recruiting. Just the energy level. I also like the fact that there's no relaxed time. There's no let's go back and look at the cut-ups and break down last season. I like the energy that brings that we need to go do this. And I just think that's good for us in this program right now to move forward that fast. And there's no reason not to. Without a bowl game, we hadn't played a game since that game in San Diego. So I just like the energy level of doing that. The coaches are back off the road now. The recruits are important. But the most important thing is this football team that we have right here on this campus. And let's get to it. Let's not wait to go. Let's go.
I feel like you addressed the immediate need on, looks like, just by position, defensive back and defensive line as well.
I think, yeah, JP, again, congratulations on that new job. Yeah. I think first of all, it's the offensive line. We have 2 offensive linemen that we recruited, Jared Sylvester and David Zavala, both recruited by Power 5 schools. We were very fortunate to get those guys signed in here, quite honestly. We have some other offensive linemen coming in. We still have the 3 open scholarships. I still look at offensive line first of immediate needs. Quite honestly, now that I said that, punter and kicker, probably before anything. We're excited about our punter. He's a unique guy. I think, what is he, Brian, 26 or 27 years old? Tyson Dyer, Australian. That's kind of the rage around the country right now, a lot of Australian punters. And he's a unique guy. He really is. Also, the kicker that we signed, Steven Ruiz out of Chicago, well over a 4-point student, was really an Ivy League. It was us in the Ivy Leagues, really, and has a very, very strong leg, big, strong guy. So punter and kicker first, if you're really looking at it. I think offensive line. I think running back. There's a chance we still may go recruit a running back. And then, we did lose a couple safeties in Gergel and Jake Rothschiller. So we had some immediate guys, I think, that can help us in the secondary. Defensive line, we actually have some depth at defensive line, even though we lose Garrett Hughes and Kenny Okonkwo. But, you never pass up on defensive linemen. You never pass up on defensive linemen, and we were able to get 3 defensive linemen in this class.
Coach, what about the quarterback room is going to be busy, huh? There's like a lot of guys, a lot of competition.
Yeah, I'm still nervous about it. I look at it, Tavaka, Colton, Bryson Carroll. Those are the 3 scholarship quarterbacks. And then Sharon Jones coming in. That's not a lot. Most schools, 5 or 6 scholarship quarterbacks. So unless I'm counting it wrong, those are the 4 scholarship quarterbacks. Tavaka, Colton Gerhardt, Bryson Carroll, and Sharon Jones. Trey Hall coming in. Great, thank you, yeah, who we really like. So I guess what's that, 5 scholarship quarterbacks? And obviously a couple of those quarterbacks can play different positions. When we recruited them, that was the idea, but right now we're not doing that, so it's full on. We're looking for a starting quarterback.
Talk about Sharon Jones just a little bit, because he's well traveled,
Yeah, he, First of all, there's a great connection there. Calvin McGee is really good friends with Butch Jones, who was the head coach at Tennessee. So we've got pretty good feedback and a pretty good idea of how Sharon fits and exactly what he can do in our offense. But yeah, he's a guy that will settle down now, and I think he has a chance to finish off his college career, with some stability. So, we're excited about him, and I think it'll bring the best out of Tavaka and Colton and those other guys. There's an experienced guy that's been around a little bit, well-traveled, yeah.
Is there a reason why Jones can't come now since he's played at Tennessee a year? And
He just has to finish up a bit of academics. Yeah, so he'll be here June 1st.
Is there any chance that Bryson can get that year back based on the Tulsa?
We've appealed that, and it came back negative, which we may go back and reappeal. I mean, that seems to me to be a common sense type of thing. He played because of an emergency, but hopefully he can. He deserves to get that year back. And as you see, as things move forward, it seems to become a little more liberal each month with NCAA rules, particularly involving player welfare, and I kind of see that as one of those things. So hopefully there'll be some movement there.
Is there a push, I've heard amongst coaches, to have a 4-game redshirt? Like if you played in less than 4 games, and I understand there's a lot of momentum going towards that, which would seemingly help.
Yeah, I think that's another example of that right there, where I don't know that rule exactly. Brian, do you know that exactly?
It's actually in the legislation.
Yeah, it's not a rule yet.
Right.
It'll go in front of the football oversight committee and the flag rules committee if they approve it. It's on track. It looks like something that's possible.
Is that in May?
Yes.
You see here, the class gets better and better. What would you say about this class as far as compared to the ones you've picked up in the past? Because you've had some traction here. You've been here now.
It's hard to say, the junior college thing, several of those guys have 3 years to play. Several of those guys were qualifiers out of high school that went because they thought they could be more highly recruited. It's hard to compare right now, Van. The reception was really good again on the road. I think we continue, even though last season was disappointing, I think we continue to gain credibility just as a program and how we do things. These coaches have had a chance. I look at Scott Baumgartner going into Los Angeles year after year after year. Stan Egan, just the credibility he has. Kevin Cosgrove, Apollo Wright. I think we have a saga. I just think we have a lot of credibility. Clay Davey, what he's done recruiting. So we just continue to gain credibility and trust, and I think that's the most important thing.
You mentioned recruiting areas, just on a side note, how do you determine who gets to recruit Hawaii and Australia?
We actually never went to Hawaii officially, because now what's interesting is, the parents fly in, which has kind of changed the dynamics on some of those really far away places. I still went in basically every home, but we didn't make it back to Hawaii. And, the Australian's a little bit older now. His brother actually punts at Louisiana Tech. But yeah, I saw where the Rutgers coach went to, Sweden or something, making a home visit. So,
What kind of impact did the investigation reports have on recruiting, if any, and how did you deal with it?
yeah, I don't think, I think that's a fair question. I don't think any. It probably came up in 3 players' conversations. There was probably 3 players. And then you try to explain as much as you know. You try to explain as much as what the timeline is, without saying too much, because again, you don't know for sure. So when all the dust settles, I would say 0 factor, quite honestly, Rick.
You talk about credibility and the program's name, and with Brian going into the College Football Hall of Fame and now Pro Football Hall of Fame and being a finalist during recruiting, does that help? Is that a non-factor? Does it help you at all?
I think it's It helps. It does help. You know, as we all get older, most people don't really associate me anymore with either ESPN or Notre Dame or Texas A&M. You know, I'm not sure how much as we all get older and these recruits all of a sudden have a bigger gap between us and the recruits that they really know that Brian went to New Mexico, or that resonates as much as it did at one time. But obviously it helps. There's no question about that. I mean, he is a big name player. And the fact that he went into the College Football Hall of Fame and then the NFL Hall of Fame is kind of remarkable. But I just think there's a bigger gap between the age of these guys we're recruiting now, and it was a long time ago when Brian played here.
Last year, I mean, this is just me, Jake Griffin was really the only guy whose speed really made you kind of your eyes fly wide open. Do you feel you've addressed that in this class?
You know, first of all, we're moving Elijah Lilly to offense. We've made a decision to do that. You're right, though. You know, last year you didn't quite feel what you felt in past years from Terrion Gibson or Jarrell Presley. I think moving Lilly over will be significant. You know, I do think these running backs, you know, Day vigilant, you know, what can Day bring now? You know, he's had a difficult start with the knee, and then last year he broke the finger. You put his high school tape on. You know, we love to go back with these recruits that we're recruiting and then put our players' high school tape back on so we get accurate comparisons, you know, as much as you can. Kentrell Moran, what is he? You know, he may not be the you know, breakaway guy like a Terrion Gibson, but he's a good back, you know. And now, you know, Amari is here. Amari Davis was going to be very highly recruited. You know, we were able to get in there early on him. Elo out of Wisconsin, you know, I think he won the 100 meters in Wisconsin. Of course, he might have had ski boots on when he ran it up there, but you know, he's a guy that you put the tape on, I mean, he jumps out, you know, and he was highly recruited. But we continue to look for that. And that's why I say, Rick, with these 3 spots, that will be something that we kind of keep an eye on, is where's that guy that can get it in his hands and take it. So, yeah, I mean, you know, but I'm excited about Jay Griffin. I'm excited about Lilly. I'm excited about getting Emmanuel Harris back off that knee. You know, that hurt us last year, hurt him obviously, but we, you know, all of a sudden now he's back and he's, you know, he's a factor that didn't step on the field last year.
You saw what Gerhardt did in that one game, and he can play many places, but he didn't get a chance to play anywhere. Are you thinking about using him?
No, he's in it right now to try to win the quarterback battle. I mean, he's you know, probably the subtle changes we make will probably help him. You know, it's a lot like he did in high school, maybe a little bit more. He's got an opportunity to be our starting quarterback. I mean, he's right now it's he and Tavaka head to head, and we'll see what Bryson can do. And then these 2 guys coming in, so there's no thoughts of moving him right now.
You mentioned the investigation. Is it still going on? I know at one point when it kind of said once it's all said and done, you'd like to.
Yeah, I'm not exactly sure. You know, I don't really know how to answer that for sure, JP.
With Sherron Jones, did you talk to him at all about his brief transfer to Colorado from Tennessee and kind of the factors?
Yeah, I talked to him about that, and I also talked to Mike McIntyre, the head coach at Colorado, who I've known Mike for a long time. So, yeah, we did due diligence and did our homework on every one of these 22 guys. So, yeah, we talked to the Colorado coaches and we talked to Sherron. You know, all of a sudden when you've been in that SEC, it's hard to leave the SEC, you know, and he realized he needed to go back to the SEC is kind of what it was. He just missed it.
What is his mindset now, since he, you know, he's that well-traveled, and he's, like you said, he's been in the SEC now. He's coming here. Is it something different as far as the appreciation for the game? Hey, I just want to be on the field.
Absolutely. He's hungry. I mean, he is hungry. You know, he has his sights set on coming in here and being the starting quarterback. I mean, there's no doubt about that. You know, he's gone back home. He's living with his parents. His mom and dad are great people. They came in on the visit. He's going to be excited when it's time to get here. But he is all about football. You can see that. Every time you talk to him, it's about X and O's. He's full on. And I think being away from it a little bit this spring from the standpoint of, you know, he played in the fall. I think he will come in here bouncing off the walls, excited about being back out there playing. But there's no question. There's no question his eyes are set on coming in here and being a starting quarterback.
He's matured a little bit this effort it was.
He's mature. He's a great young man. You know, the coaches there that we know well at his junior college, Mount San Jacinto, you know, we've known those coaches there, and they absolutely love the kid and love how he handled being there, what kind of leadership he had, how he took responsibility for being a leader of the team and not acting like he was too good to be there. I mean, all those things were discussed. We good, guys? All right, thank you, guys.